immensely proud to be the head football coach at Duke University. And my mind instantly goes back to the interview process on a Zoom with President Vincent Price, talking about Duke's ambition to be a major player going forward in college football, and the assurance that that Duke wants to be excellent in football as they are in everything else was a big part of why I came. And the leadership of Vincent Price, Nina King, the support we've gotten from our administration, from Iron Dukes, it has put us in position to have the result that we had today. So I just feel very humbled by the people who support us, the players that we can attract, that are drawn not just in terms of the football aspect of what Duke can offer, but what can Duke can offer in terms of the experience of our guys when they come on our campus. The fact that this guy sitting next to me chose to come to Duke is a big part of why we're sitting on this podium here today as champions in the ACC. We've got a senior class that was probably recruited mostly by David Cutcliffe's staff, and David Cutcliffe is the man who really got the momentum back, got the wind back into the sails of Duke football. Thankful for him. Thankful for Mike Elko for taking it to another level. Thankful for David Feeley for staying and being really the backbone. When we talk about the resiliency of our football team, that's where it's taught and it's where it's learned. And all those things you need to have on a stage like this. We've gone through a lot of adversity this year, maybe more so than any other team in the country. But what we learned from it wasn't frustrating. It was all part of the process of what it takes to build a big-time program. And I think that has a lot to do with why we were able to overcome the adversity of the last 2 minutes of regulation tonight. We said we were going to win the game on the last play of the game, and we did it in a very, very Duke fashion. And the trust I have in this guy here to go for it on fourth down, to me, it's not even a gamble. I do it 100 times out of 100. And then for the defense to go out there and get a stop, Luke Mergat, kind of a story of our defense, right? We've been besieged by injuries in the back seven. A guy who, probably thought he'd have a limited role most of this year playing behind Nick Morris. And he makes arguably the play of our season, one he'll never forget. I know he's still holding the football. I'm not sure he'll ever relinquish that football. So, like I said, just super proud of our guys, proud to be an ACC champion. No, it hasn't been done in a long time, and the pride we have of doing things at Duke that haven't been done in a long time. So with that, let's do questions.
Good questions, raise your hand. Let's get the mic to you. Let us know who you are, who you're with, and questions for Coach or Darien. Second row.
Manny Diaz, or Aaron Beard, Manny, AP. Manny, when you talked about this week with the playoff situation in terms of hypotheticals. If we win, we'll have this resume. Now that you've accomplished this, what kind of do you want to state your case more? And also, what kind of message do you think it would send if the committee did not pick the ACC champion for the playoff?
Well, they have new information, right? And so no one should make a decision based off of incomplete information, which is why I always feel like the weekly polls were kind of a farce anyway. Now the full resume, the full information is available, right? So we played 10 Power 4 teams, comparing us to James Madison, for example, who had a fantastic season, right? Their schedule strength is in the hundreds. Ours is somewhere in the 50s. 7 wins in our conference, 7 Power 4 wins, as opposed to 0 Power 4 wins. 0-1 versus the ACC, as opposed to 7 wins in the ACC, and ACC champions. And this guy, right? This guy should be quarterbacking the Duke Blue Devils in the college football playoff because of the player that he is, the team that he is. And yeah, we had to learn through some of those losses, and those losses are the reason why we're a champion today. Without them, I'm not sure that we have had the wherewithal to recognize what it takes to pull out a game like this against an outstanding Virginia football team. The ACC Conference champion should go to the college football playoff this year and every year, and we'll be very excited to find out how they rule on that tomorrow.
Second row to my right.
Manny, I'm curious how many Gatorade/ice baths you've gotten in your life and what that experience was like for you.
I've been fortunate, David. I've gotten a few. None quite happened like tonight because I thought I was wise enough to duck out of the way, and it kind of hit me sort of in the lower back down. So I'm pretty cool from here up, but from here down, it's rather uncomfortable. But it does feel like victory, and so I'll take it every time.
Stay or right?
TMI.
Connor.
Hey, he asked.
Connor O'Neill, Devils Illustrated. Darien, can you take us through the last throw, the fourth down throw, and what your reads were, and when you saw Jeremiah pop open in the end zone?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the ball to my slot receiver, Queso. Motion him over from the boundary to the field. He's running like a quick out. Trying to get a little pick action. And they covered it well. Virginia has a really good defense. And the challenge was, could we run the ball? And we don't get in that situation if we don't, continue to choose to run the ball and be the most physical team on the field, and get down to the 1-2 yard line like where we were. So they covered Queso, and Jerry just slipped over, and I just, by the grace of God, I found him. So yeah.
Third row.
Anna Snyder, Fayetteville Observer. This is kind of for both of y'all, but Coach, you were pretty candid about y'all's performance the last time you faced Virginia 3 weeks ago. Just talk about how you guys used the feelings and emotions you guys were feeling after that game, that loss, and how you used that coming into tonight.
Why don't you start?
Yeah, they definitely got after our butts a little bit last time we played them. And they really just dared us to run the ball. And so we knew that was going to be the challenge heading into the game. My front five did an exceptional job of creating holes for our running backs all game long. And so super proud of that unit. Our tight ends did the same thing as well. Jeremiah played an awesome game, running the ball and receiving. He makes those plays that you don't really see in the stat sheet. But if you watch the tape back, he's probably giving the most effort on the field from a play-to-play basis. So, like I said, I'm just super proud of our unit tonight offensively. Faced a little adversity. My defense also played exceptional. When I threw the pick over there, they rallied behind me, and they just told me that they got me. So that means a lot to me.
And I would just say, just from my standpoint, we're not the same team we were that day. We were out of character. I think we were uptight. I think this is part of dealing with expectations and letting all that go, and playing this week as if we did belong here on the stage. No matter what people said, we earned our way in this game, and now we've earned our way to being ACC champions.
Middle of the room.
Coach Darien, this is for both of y'all. Coach, I'll start with you. Last game against UVA, time of possession was on your side. This time, 2 of the longest possessions in ACC championship history. Can you talk about that being a part of your scheme, keeping UVA off the field? And Darien, great performance tonight. Bread and butter, peanut butter jelly, those are great together. You and Cooper Barquet seem to have great chemistry. Can you talk about y'all's chemistry?
Yeah, I think it starts when he first got here in the fall. We were roommates during fall camp, and we just developed an unbreakable bond and friendship. We're both from California, so we have a lot of similarities. But we knew that also, the 2 challenges of the game were to, run the football, like I just said, and to challenge them down the field vertically. Because last time I didn't connect on them, and, that was the difference in the game. I had dudes wide open last time we played, and I just wasn't able to connect. And tonight, I think the result is just because we can run the ball and throw the ball down the field vertically.
And I think your point to the first drive of the game, I think it was 5:22 left on the clock when we scored. It was almost a 10-minute drive. It was almost the exact opposite of the way the last game started. Virginia went on a really long drive to start the game. We almost completely flipped it. I thought our performance on fourth down in the first half was so key, right? We got him to jump off sides on a punt, then we converted a fourth down to short. We faked a punt later in that, and so we got 14 points off of fourth down conversions, and that allowed us to control the ball.
Front row.
Hi, Abby DeSalvo, Duke Chronicle. Coach, you mentioned Luke Murgaud's big impact on the game today. Can you talk a little bit more about the growth you've seen from him and the tenacity with all the uncertainty in the linebacker room?
Yeah, he's like I said, he's a poster child for the adversity we've had on defense this year. He's played really, really well. He's become more comfortable now with being an every down player. And when I say every down, we almost can't take him off the field because we're so thin at linebacker. He's got a knack. Last week he had the fumble recoveries, right? And now with the big interception. And it was fascinating because when the play happened, it was a trick. First of all, just the fact that he could turn and find the over route was pretty an elite linebacker play. And so I look back at the quarterback. Wes Williams had an elite play. He stayed home on the throwback, so the quarterback just didn't have all the time in the world. And he decided to throw it. And the fact that Luke could not just break it up and punish it with the interception right in front of our sideline is a moment I know no one will ever forget.
Third row to the left.
Hey, Steve Weissman, Raleigh News and Observer. Darien, take me back to right at the end of regulation. You give up the lead. You guys killed the clock to go to overtime. and you guys are bouncing around on the field, coming off the field, getting ready for overtime. That could have been a gut punch for you guys, but what was going through your head at that point? And then Manny, I'd like to hear your reaction to that as well, what the team showed you in that situation.
Yeah, those are the moments I live for. You know, I love winning, and we knew this game was going to come down to the last play, and we knew it was going to go to overtime. We knew that Virginia was a great team, and so I'm just trying to get my guys excited. You know, we all live for these moments, and there's no better feeling than winning a championship. So why not go, full face into adversity and challenge anything?
Yeah, from my standpoint, we preached the next play mentality, and that's all it was. It was just next play, and we said, hey, guess what? We get to go play overtime to win the ACC. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty fun. Like, let's go do it. And I thought it's neat to say things. I thought the first play when we ran power, and I think Nate ripped it for 8 or 9 yards. I thought that was a statement because they had all the momentum. The crowd was into it, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, this is how this goes. And just the fact we ran the ball, I think, every down there until we got down to like the 1 or 2 yard line was a huge statement by our offensive line.
Front row, right in front of you.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN. Manny, as a follow-up to what Aaron asked you, you felt confident, or you said you were confident all week that if you won, you would make it into the field. I'm wondering if you still feel confident right now, and why?
I do. I mean, because I sat there and I watched, and again, I'm not going to take anything away from James Madison's season. They had a really good season, but I'm watching them play Troy at home last night, and Troy's got a backup quarterback in for most of the game, right? And it's a 3-point game until really the last few minutes of the game where they were able to pull away, and which is important. They won the game, they won their conference, but you just can't compare going through the Sun Belt this year. The Sun Belt has been a really good conference in years past, but most of their top teams are just having down years. So they're probably just not challenged in the way that they would have been going through a normal Sun Belt season, and sometimes that happens. And so when you start comparing strength of schedule, when you start comparing, if you're just going to simply go into wins and losses, well, you got to look at who you're playing against, right? And that's the whole point of why you play a Power 4 schedule. There's a reason why these coaches are all leaving to go take Power 4 jobs. There's a recognition that that's where the best competition is, and that's no different than it is in our league. And the reason why our league's really hard, you know why our league's hard? Because Duke is really good. That's what's changed in college football, because when Duke is really good, the league gets really hard to go against because everybody can play now because everybody can attract players. And it's hard to recognize that because the brands used to make the players, and now the players have the ability to make the brands. So our strength of our conference is in direct correlation to how Duke has raised its football profile.
Front row, far left.
David Hale with ESPN. Maybe to follow up a little bit on Manny's players make the brands. Darien, when you chose to come to Duke, did you have some folks like, Duke, really? That's where you want to go? Because you had a lot of options, I'm sure. What was it about this place that sold you on a vision of what you could do here, and how does it feel now that you've done some of it?
Yeah, just watching them last year, I think they had a really good defense, and like they say, defense wins championships, and so I just wanted to be a part of a team that really just gets after on that side of the ball. And I felt like Duke was the place to really showcase my talent as far as getting to the NFL. And so those were two key things as far as getting me here, but also just the people at Duke. Everyone at Duke is so special. And I've been saying this, but I wasn't recruited a bunch in high school, and so just to feel that love and just to have, you hear him talk about, how confident he is in me. I never really had that, and so just having all that, I felt like Duke was, the perfect place for me, and I definitely did have some people question my decision.
Last two questions, far left, front left.
For both of you guys, I mean, everybody talks about the college football playoff, but maybe lost in this is that Duke hasn't won an outright ACC title in 62 years. Just wonder if you both can address what that feels like to, get the monkey off the back or whatever you want to call it, but just to win a championship after such a long drought and bring it to the school.
Yeah, there's no better feeling. That's exactly why I'm at Duke. Me and Coach Diaz talked about it. When we first met, to bring a championship to this school, who's primarily known for basketball on the football field. I think that's a statement that me and the seniors on this team really have tried to make. And like I've been saying this, I'm just a piece of this puzzle. Duke is extremely special, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Last question, middle of the room.
Jake Mazarski with the Sporting News. For both of you guys, Coach, Darien led the ACC in passing yards and passing touchdown this season. From your perspective, what has his development been like since getting on campus? And Darien, for you, if you heard that you'd lead the conference, the ACC, in both passing yards and touchdowns and win the title a year ago, what would your reaction be?
I wouldn't be that surprised, to be honest. I'm just that confident in my ability and my guys around me. And as soon as I stepped on campus, I know that we had something special. And it starts with Coach Feeley, starts in the weight room. We do stuff that not a lot of people in the country are doing as far as workouts and weight room stuff. So just getting that made me extremely confident, and I knew that we'd be sitting here come this time of year.
That's why I love this guy, because he is what we aspire to be. He's extraordinarily humble on Monday through Friday, and he plays with elite confidence on Saturday. And his confidence is the reason why everybody around him has confidence in him. And our pathway to win championships at Duke, going back to Coach Spurrier, the last time Duke won an ACC championship, was get elite quarterback play, no different than Coach Cut with Daniel Jones and some of the quarterbacks that he had. And now it's Darien, and we're conference champions, and this is our pathway, this is our model to success going forward.
Guys, thanks.
Everything's cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.